Hey everybody, it's Missy with the Shimmerz Education team, and I'm back with a new layout today. And I wanted to remind you, like always, if you are buying products from the Shimmerz Store online, make sure you mention my name in the comments section and you can get a free mini surprise paint. So I'm going to sort of just create a layout today from scratch. That's what I call it. And I'm just going to use a lot of pattern paper and a lot of shimmers. And so I've used some white cardstock here, and I'm going to use a Paige Evans cut file. This one is called Flower Heart. And I'm going to scrap this really cute picture of my oldest daughter from a few years ago. And it's going to be black and white because I'm going to use a lot of colors. And since this week is Valentine's week, I wanted to do something with lots of pinks and reds and purples and flowers. And so that's what I'm going to do. So I enlarged the heart cut file to fit basically the entire paper. And to prime it and get it ready for all of the liquid that I'm going to use, I'm going to coat it with clear gesso. And I'm going to paint this gesso on, or not paint, but scrape the gesso on while the paper is still stuck to my Cameo mat. I'm going to use a lot of Inklingz to start this with. So I pulled out all of these colors. I've got some pinks, a purple, and some red shades, and I got to activate them with water because when you get these, they're in these little pots and the paint is hard, and so to get it softened up and ready to use, you need to activate it with water. And so I just sprayed a little bit of water in there, and I'm going to let it sit for a few minutes. Now, since I did add the gesso to my cut file, I had to kind of help the little pieces punch out because it kind of made it sticky. And anyway, so now they're punched out, and I'm just going to have a good old time painting this cut file. I've been wanting to use it for a while, but I wanted to save it for something like this where I could just customize all the colors and paint it right on with a brush. And so that's all I'm going to do here. And it was really fun because something like this, you can customize whatever color you want, and you can make it as big as you want, as small as you want. There are no limits, you know, the possibilities are endless. So I'm going to tell you all the colors that I'm using, and I know I got a lot of requests the last time I did a Shimmerz video to post all of the colors in the description box, so I'm going to do that, and so you can have the actual list of the names, and they're also going to be listed on the blog post. But the top color is, and these are all Inklingz, the top one is called Hot Stuff, very gorgeous bright pink. The second one is Bahama Mama, and it's more of a soft pink, more of like a baby pink. The third one is the purple one. It's called Plum Crazy, and it is a gorgeous shade of purple. The next one that's more of a purplish pink is called Beets Me. The next one is more of a red color, and it's called Lover's Lips. And then the bottom one is one of the coolest ones I've ever seen, and it's called Gosh Garnet. Now, don't let the name of it fool you. It sounds like a red color, and it does have red hints, but it dries this gorgeous, deep, reddish pink color, but it also is special because it has gold powder mixed in with it. And so when it dries, you not only get the reddish gold or the reddish pink color, but it's also got a gold shimmer on top of it. It is really pretty, and you'll be able to see it later when it dries. I'm going to show you some close-ups of everything. So I'm just trying to create this colorful bouquet of flowers here with some different shades of color. And then I want to go in with different greens for the leaves. Now, all these greens I'm using here are Creameez. And the top one is called Pining for You. The middle one is called Let Us Get Together. And the bottom one is called Jolly Green Giant. And if you've never used these, the difference between the Inklingz and the Creameez are basically the finish. The Inklingz dry with a really pretty shimmer, and the Creameez dry more of a satiny finish. They're both sparkly and shimmery and pretty, but the finishes are just a little bit different. And I usually don't really care which one. I mainly go for the colors because the colors are different. And I go for what color I want to use. But you can see how pretty that is. You can already see the different shines and the little bit of that gold tint on that one big flower. So I have most of this done, and then I thought on the right side, at first I thought I was going to do the packaging technique with the same pink colors. I'm just going to use a couple of the same colors that I used on the flowers. But this looks very distracting. Whenever I do the packaging technique, it looks so messy. It kind of distracts from the flowers. It's just too much. It's too dark and too I just don't like it. I think it would take away from the pretty flower side. So I'm going to wind up watering this down and just sort of adding a coat of paint to the entire piece of the heart here, and I love how it turns out. I love how the watercolor just kind of flows. The water just sort of lets it do its own thing. I don't really do anything special here. This was really not hard to do. The flowers are, you know, the shape is already there, and you just add lights and darks according to how you like it, and add a little bit of water and let it spread, and you've got this beautiful design here. And the fact that I added the gesso is helping a lot, because this is just regular cardstock. It's just regular textured cardstock. I think I got it from a stack from Walmart. I mean, it's not even American Crafts or anything, and so it's pretty flimsy. And so the fact that I added the gesso sort of toughens it up and allows, you see how much water I have there, and it allowed it to kind of run and blend. And look at the gold on there. I added some of that Gosh Garnet, and you can see that gold shimmery finish. So this is my base. I've got this pretty much done. Now this is something I haven't used in a while, and I want to talk about it. It's called Blingz, and I want you to look at this. It's pretty thick, and it's basically chunky gold glitter. And I'm just going to brush it on over some bits and pieces of this cut file, and it's going to dry like a sparkly golden. It's basically going to look like I sprinkled really fine glitter on top of it. And so it's very subtle, but so pretty. And there's several different shades of the Blingz, and so yeah, you can see the gold sparkle there. And I'm just going to add a little bit here, and so when you turn it in the light, you'll see a different kind. It's more like gold glitter instead of the gold powder. But yeah, here you'll be able to see it. Yeah, you can see where I painted that on. It's just so pretty, and so, you know, if you want more of it, you can add as much as you want. If you want it to be subtle like I'm doing, just do a little bit of a brush over. So pretty. Okay, now here's where this is going to look like a hot mess, but I'm going to do this so it kind of peeks through the flowers and around the heart cut file. This is a sheet of white cardstock. This is thick, smooth cardstock. I believe this is the Basil Marshmallow cardstock, and I have not done anything to this as far as gesso goes. The color that I'm using is another Inklingz, and it is so pretty. It's called Minor 49er, and if you've ever used Heidi Swapp Gold Color Shine, it's basically the exact same color, and it's just in a pot. It's so pretty, and it's so shiny. You're going to be able to see it shine right away. And I'm adding in some of that Bahama Mama from before, just to add a little bit of pink. And I'm going to wind up flipping this and using this side on the other side of the heart, because I just felt like it was too dark and too much. I did not want to take away from the flowers. So here's what you can do if you make a little mistake. Get some white gesso and scrape it or smudge it over it, and it's going to instantly lighten up whatever you just did. And so it looks better when I flip it around, because I want this gold part to be subtle, just kind of coming out from behind the heart, not so much that it takes away from it. So yeah, so many things you could do. You could brush this on, you could scrape it with a palette knife, you could use the packaging technique, you could splatter. You know, the possibilities are endless. There are no right or wrong ways on how to use this paint or what you can use it on. And so it's fun to just experiment and play around and just paint stuff. So yeah, this gold is beautiful. Highly recommend this gold. To me, it's like the classic gold. It splatters very well, it brushes on very well, and it is instantly shimmery and shiny. You can see that already. So I like how that looks, and so I'm going to center this heart up and go ahead and glue it down. It's all dry, oh, pretty much dry. Yeah, I was very impatient making this because I just wanted to keep going, and so sometimes I did wait for it to dry before I did some machine stitching, and I just went around the heart and down the middle with some gold thread, and you can really see the sparkle there. It's so pretty. Look at that. Love it. So I did a messy stitch around the right part of the heart, and later I'm going to do some more stitching, but I decided that I needed something, a little bit of something over on the right, kind of layering on top of and around the picture. And so I went back to my cut file that was still in my Silhouette software, and I kind of did some slicing, and I sliced off one of the hearts, and then I duplicated it in a couple of different sizes. And so it's still a, did I say heart or flower? I can't even remember. I think I said heart. I meant flower if I said heart. So I'm going to layer these around the picture, and I'm just going to go back and paint them using the same colors that I used on the main cut file, and just kind of go over and do these quick coat. Now I didn't add any gesso to these and they turned out fine. If you don't add too much water to cardstock, it should be okay. And you know, when these dry, they're going to curl up a little bit and give a little bit of texture, which is great. And I love that about the leaves on the cut file. The edges are on those two big ones at the top and the little one at the bottom. The ends are curled up because when you wet paper, it's going to curl up. So I'm going to add a little bit of tissue paper and some craft adhesive foam behind my picture there. And then I'm going to start working on these flowers. And they're not even dry. Yeah, don't stick anything wet with paint on top of a picture. I was just so excited. I wanted to do this, and I thought, you know what, these are still wet, but whatever. So I do get a little bit of paint on my picture, and I should know better, but it's not that noticeable and wasn't that big a deal. So I don't want to overload the picture, but I want to kind of do a little bit of something on the right side, because the picture is going to be sort of mostly to the right, but overlapping the middle. Yeah, I went back and forth about which picture to use. I almost used a color picture, but I like the black and white because it really stands out against all those colors. And before I glue anything down, I'm mixing a couple of colors of thread. I'm mixing a pink and a red over there to the right. And then at first I'm going to use just the purple over on the left, but you can't really see it. So I add some red to that later on. And it just adds to the messiness in the background, the messy factor, and gives some texture and a little more color. And it stands out more on the right because it's more of a solid. Now I decided that I needed some leaves on the right side of those flowers that I added. So I'm going to go back to my same green and just paint a little messy area here using a couple of the different colors. And this is a very easy and fast way to make leaves. And I have my old Martha Stewart leaf punch that I've had forever. And I thought I hit record on this part, but I didn't hit record when I punched them out. But I dried it and just punched some leaves out. Super simple. And so I felt like these flowers were smaller. And they don't look like the same leaves that are on the cut file, but I don't think that matters because they're just giving a little pop of green over there on the right, and I think they look really cute. So here's where I did some more stitching. I didn't do it on all the flowers, but I used the gold thread again, and I just went around some of the flowers just to bring more of that gold over. And then I did stitch on the two flowers that I'm going to use to overlap on top of the picture because I don't want too much on top of the picture, but I do like to overlap on the picture if there's space. And I feel like there's some space on the left and then that little bitty spot to the right of her head. And I'm still not, you know, I'm not taking away from the picture. Because sometimes if the, you know, it depends on the picture, but sometimes it overcrowds the picture if you put stuff on top of it or if everything around it's too busy. So I like how that looks. So I'm just adding more thread to make it a little more visible. And I did add some red in there. Now I'm going to go back to my Miner 49er and add some more gold splatters on top of everything. And then I pulled some random bits from my stash. These are from Pink Fresh Studio years ago when they just had embellishments, before they started coming out with collections. And then these are some little epoxy stickers from, I believe, the Amy Tan Rise and Shine collection. And I love these gold hearts. And so I'm just going to tuck a couple of these in and around those flowers just for an extra little pop of gold. And they're really pretty. And I love how this is looking. And, you know, I did not use any pattern paper. I really didn't use a lot of embellishments. It's basically all cardstock. This is from a set of older matte gold thickers, and I'm going to go simple with the title and just add the word love. And then I did add some journaling underneath the picture with my gold pen, but that's the final layout. Super simple, very colorful, lots of shimmers. So sometimes all you need is some cardstock and some paint, and you know, you don't necessarily need a lot of embellishments because sometimes, you know, the background or a cut file can just make the entire layout, and that's all you need. So sometimes less is more. This was a lot of fun to make. I highly recommend you just kind of making something from scratch like this. Just pull out some cardstock and punch some shapes. Or if you have a die cutting machine, you know, cut a shape out like this and just paint it. and have fun doing it. It's very freeing. And anyway, let me know if you have any questions. Look below for the list of paint colors. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.